Good day, students. Welcome to mathematics class. In our previous lesson, we discussed procedures in solving quadratic equations, and we talked about different ways by which quadratic equations can be solved, getting the factors and getting the roots. In the previous lesson, we were able to solve quadratic equation using factorization. Today we shall be solving quadratic equation using graphical method. So graphical solution of quadratic equation. Don't forget that this is how the polynomial identification of quadratic equation. Whenever you see an equation in this format, in this form, know that is what is a quadratic equation. And take note of this: a, b, c are constant and x is variable, and the highest power is 2. When you see, then you are having a quadratic equation. So if a variable y is related to a variable of x, such that for every value of x there is one and only one value corresponding by y, then y is said to be a function. The set of all values of x is called the domain, while the set of corresponding values of y is called the range. Then, if the graphs of y is equal to ax raised to power 2 plus bx plus c are plotted, the resulting curve will have one of the shapes shown below. So this is 1 and this is 2. When do you have this? When will you have this kind of graph? You have this kind of graph when a is greater than 0. That means when this a is what is greater than 0. Let's say you are having 1, you are having 2, 3. With what you will have what this kind of graph. But when a is less than 0, then you will have this kind of what? This kind of graph. So don't forget the domain and the range. The set of values for x is what will be called the domain, while the set of corresponding value of y, for every x you are having, you have a corresponding value of y. So by the time we get to the table of values, you understand. So let's quickly go to the procedure in solving quadratic equation using graph. To solve quadratic equation using graph, number 1, make the table of values. Number 2, plot the graph using appropriate scale. You should know how to plot a graph using an appropriate scale. Very important. If you don't get your scale correctly, you will miss the correct result. So it's very important that you take this. So you can check our previous videos on how to actually plot graph with appropriate scale. Very important for science students and some other statistics students to take note of how to plot graph. Then you reach the root from where the graph line cuts the x-axis. This is the x-axis, this is y-axis. So whenever that line of plotting actually cuts this side, this horizontal line, this horizontal, this vertical, then you take note of it. So those values are what are the corresponding values of the root of a quadratic equation, which tells you the result where y is equal to 0. So where y is at this point, you have y is equal to 0. So let's quickly go to solve a question so that you can get to actually see how to go about it. Please take note of it. Now the question says, draw the graph of y is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2 for values of x between minus 3 and what? And 3. So now take note of all this. Minus 3 and 3 tells you the corresponding values, the set of values for what? For x, which is called the domain, which is where the values of x falls into. So that means the value of x will start from -3 to 3. So most times it is being given when quadratic equation, especially using graph to solve it, is being given. So you'll be given. Then also you should take note that from this equation, x squared is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2. You understand? Our a here is 1. You understand? Our a here is 1, while our b here is what? -3, and our c is what? Is 2. So let's quickly go to the solution. Now, tables of values for quadratic equation x squared minus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now, what is the first thing for you to do? You have been given the values of x to be between -3 and 3, right? So this is x now. This is x. Then it will start from -3. There is the value. The range of value will be from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Do you understand now? Now you now begin to insert in this table. Now begin to insert the value of those each term. This is the first term. This is middle term. This is the last term. You understand? What's the first term is x squared. What's the second term is what? Is 3x. Why this one is 2? You understand? So then you have that. So now you can see for the first term you have your you have x squared. For the mid term you have -3x. For the last term you have plus 2x. So please take note of that positive equality, those sign. So now at this point you have your what? At this point the value of x is what? -3. If you put the value of x in this x squared, it will be what? -3 raised to the power 2, which is giving 9. At this point the value of x is what? -2. If you put the value of x which is -2 in x squared, then you have your 4. The value of x here is -1. You put it here, that is 1 minus 1 times -1, that will give you 1. So if you put the value of it, you have the 0, you have your 1, you have your 2, you have your 4, you have your 4, and you have your 9. Do you get it now? So at this point for -3x now, at this point -3, at this point for -3, for the corresponding value of -3 there, at this point your what is what? The value of x is -3. So if you put this thing here, that will be -3 times what's the value of x here? -3. Do you understand now? So -3 times -3 will give you 9. Here the value of x is what? -2. If you put the value into this -3x, you get 6. You get 3 here, you get 0, you get -3, you get -6, you get -9. So, and this constant will be what? Will be constant all through. Then you just add, you just put insert 2, 2, 2, 2. It will be the same all through because it's constant. Nothing is changing. This is variable, this is variable. That's why it's changing. Depending on the value of x that you are given. That's the domain you are given. So why? Because that's the result. You can see that y is equal to x minus. So y will be what? By the time you sum all these things together, you sum it up, it will give you the value of y. So let's go from 9 plus 9 give you what? 18. Don't forget that you are only adding from this. You are not adding from the domain of x here. You are adding from the value in the equation. So now what you are doing is you add 9 plus 9 will give you what? 18. 18 plus 2 will give you what? 20. 4 plus 6 will give you 10. 10 plus 2 will give you 12. 1 plus 3 will give you 4. 4 plus 2 will give you 6. 0 plus 0 will give you 0. Plus 2 will give you 2. 1 minus 3 will give you 2. Plus 0, it will give you 1 minus 3 will give you what? Will give you -2. -2 plus 2 will give you 0. 4 minus 6 will give you what? -2. -2 minus plus 2 will give you 0. And 9 minus 9 will give you what? 0 plus 2 will give you 2. Now, what you need from this table of values is the value of what? The value of x plotting against y. So why you need to solve these tables is for you to get the value of y. What you really need to plot this graph is actually this domain, which is what? X, the domain for x, which is minus 3 to 3, and the result, which is y. You understand that? So the coordinates for the plotting xy will be what? Under x we have minus 3 abi and 20. So wari minus 3 ní under x níbí náà minus 2 àti 12 ni, minus 1 àti 6 ni, 0 àti 2 ni, 1 àti 0 ni, 2 àti 0 ni, 3 àti 0. Gbogbo àwọn value yìí, gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tá à ń rí àwọn ni a máa lò. Those are the things we need for us to do what? For us to be able to solve this quadratic equation using the graph. Do you understand now? So o nílò pé kó ọ̀pọ̀ yí ọ pé okay o, bí quadratic equation bó ṣe máa ń rí ni, tí n bá rí equation bó ṣe máa ń rí ni, bí graph yẹn ṣe máa ń rí ni, o lè rí báyìí, ó dẹ̀ lè rí báyìí. Ó dẹ̀ ti mọ̀ yìí pé lórí bí ìlà yẹn bá ṣe lọ, tó bá ti ibi tó bá gbà kọjá lára x, lára èyí èyí ìlà x yìí, òun ló ti mú kíni, òun ló ti mú result rẹ̀. Ó yá, ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú. Let's now move further now. Let's assume that this is our graph. Do you understand that? This is our graph. The first thing for us to is to get the title of your graph and you get the scale. You understand now? So if you don't understand the graph, let me just basically that graph is actually a sheet or a book that's been divided into a column. Now when you see that you have gotten the scale, do you understand now? You have gotten the scale. The first thing you should get to know your y-axis and your x-axis. Your scale should your y-axis should have a scale and your x-axis will have a scale. For this graph now, 2 centimeters represent 1 unit. You understand? 2 centimeters represent 1 unit. 2 centimeters represent 1 unit, and on y-axis 2 centimeters represent 2 units. So this is y-axis. How do you know that? You can see now from here that from the origin from 0 to this point is what? Is 2. The next one is 4, the next one is 6, the next one is 8. So you can see that the interval between them is what? 2 for y-axis. So it means 2 units. Why the distance between here is actually what? 2 centimeters. Actually 2 centimeters. And the value given to them is actually in 2 units. That's why you're having that. You can see on y-axis, on x-axis rather, that from point 0, what we have from point here to this point is what? 2 centimeters. But we represent that 2 centimeters to be what? To be 1 unit. You can see the interval. So your graph should have a definite interval, a definite and same interval. You can see between here and 1, between 0 and 1 is 1. The value of between 1 and 2 is 1. Between 2 and 3 is 1. Don't go and move, make 0. Start from 0 and put 1 2 and put 1 5 and put all that. Make sure it's what is it follows that procedure. So now let's go to the plotting. After getting your scale, title, and you have actually done justice to the arrangement of the figure and everything, then what you need to do is, and don't forget, the graph, the position of the graph is determined by the range of values. Do you understand that? The range of value. If you know that, for example, now, why do I give more space down here? Because I need more of positive side for y-axis. Why? I need little or no value for what? For x-axis. You can see from our table here, there is no actually negative side of y. You understand now? So I don't need to deal with that. So I have to put my graph in such a way that it will accommodate those units all along. And you can see that on y-axis, on x-axis, you can see that we have minus 3, that's positive side of x, and negative side of x. So that's why we have this division on the graph. You can see that we have the negative side of the graph and we have the positive side of the graph. So let's now go into plotting. Let's go into plotting now. You see, we have on 3 minus 3 on x-axis we have minus 3. This is our x-axis. We have minus 3. These are minus 3. Minus 3 under what? 20. This 20. You can see on y-axis 20. We have this point. We mark it out. Then the next one is minus 2 and 12. This is under minus 2 and 12. We mark it out. Then under minus 1 and 6. So this is minus 1. Where do we have our 6? This is minus 1. Where is our 6? This is our 6. We have pointed out. Then we have 0 and 2. We have 0 and 2. We have 0 and 2. This is 0 and 2. So we have what? We mark it out. Then we have also 1 and 0. 1 and 0. This is 1 and 0. We mark it out on the line. Then mark it out on the line. So we also have what? We have 2 on x-axis and what? 0 on y-axis. This is at this point of y-axis. So we also have 3 and what? And 2. So 3 and 2. So with that, we have been able to map out those points of intersection or the coordinates for our graph. Now the next thing for us to do is to draw out those lines to ensure that the line pass through those points of coordinates. You mark it out to pass through the point of coordinates. You mark it out. It's a freehand sketch, but make sure that it's actually a bit perfect. You mark it out. You can now observe the point at which the line cuts. Remember this. Read the route where the graph line cut the x-axis. That is where y is equal to 0 on the x-axis. So now that's why we are having that. So the line they have actually made from the coordinates, plotting those coordinates, is actually what? It's actually between this. It cuts at this point and it cuts at this point. So and the value we are looking for will be the value on x-axis. So on x-axis, what's the value where this line cuts? It cuts it at 1. And where does it cut it the next? It cuts at what? 2. So that gives our what? That gives the value for that quadratic equation. Therefore, the roots of x squared minus 3x plus 2 are what? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. So with this, we've come to the end of today's class. Keep reading, keep studying, and keep better.